Good morning, Saturday morning, and we're ready to rock and roll. Today I want to speak about the fork that I'm going to use for my build. This fork has come off an abandoned bicycle. I had this for a while. The fork didn't cost me anything, whereas there were some materials used, namely some leftover silver spray paint, which we already have accounted for, but I have purchased the material for this green, so that was a new spray can that I bought. It's by Mr. DIY. That was actually bought in Malaysia, so it's about €2 for the spray can, and I love that stuff because it's translucent, so if you paint it over some silver base or some chrome base, you get some relatively nice effect. Now, the downside to this super cheap paint is the quality, so you always get some marks, and that's why I left this in peace for a while to really dry off, which it doesn't seem to do, so you get all kinds of weird and wonderful things going on, but it doesn't really matter. So what I'm going to do is I'm not sure what I have painted clear on top of that or not. I really don't recall. So what we're going to do here today is a couple of things. I'm going to start with the dirtiest job. So I want to clean up this surface rust. Believe it or not, I had this polished before, but then I obviously didn't put enough grease or none on it, so it has some fly rust again. So we're going to sand this down and polish. I'm going to clean the threads one more time, also with eau de sol. I'm going to clean the brake tabs, brake axle. What's the proper word? Please make a comment. I'm going to sand the nonsense that happened along here, and I'm going to put some lovely little things on it, just to mimic some kind of branding, some kind of accent, some kind of graphics. I think that looks quite nice. I like it, and it's my bike, so that's what matters mostly, but please comment what you think about that. And I'm going to put the chosen brace on. This kind of fits already. It's almost too loose for my liking, so that's why I will mount it with some carbon paste. Please comment what you think about that, whether that's nonsense or whether that's helpful. I feel it gives more friction, and okay, I apologize for my phone playing up. And that's really weird. If you're listening to me and you still can see clearly, I see on the screen that there is a problem. It shows a milky screen. So sadly, while I keep this in the stativ, nothing can be done about it. It's really asking me to take it out. Low power mode, no, I don't think so. Okay, so now you press take it out the stativ, put it back in. And you do this and let it fall on the floor. Apologize. So let's try again. Probably was like that. Okay, if I haven't said this before, I have not made many videos. My equipment is basically non-existent. I bought this super cheap, even though it was the most expensive and the best one I thought they had at the time in Malaysia, stativ here. So that's what I'm using, and I'm using a far too old iPhone that has so many issues compared to a grandfather that can't walk anymore, kind of thing. Anyway, Apple, if you hear me, please sponsor me and send me a new iPhone. So let's focus and do some work. Let's adjust this so we see what we want to see. I'm going to start with the dirtiest job. And I'm going to do all of this dry today. So I'm going to sand the surface around here. This is an 800 grid. I just want to go across the seat so that this is clean. Just a touch. And I'm aware, I have fresh gloves on. I'm aware what I'm doing here. I do not want any dirt on this silver paint because it's not sealed with a clear lacquer. Oh, nice. You see what a little bit of sandpaper does to you. So beautiful. So beautiful. The trick here clearly is to go in the direction of the manufacturing. I think this was surfaced, this piece of steel, and obviously it's rotational, it's in the machine, it rotates, and then it gets machined along this way so that you have tooling marks. You have all kinds of other marks too, but they go in this direction, so I'm sanding in this direction too. So yeah, here's some trace of blue paint, so that reminds me of where this fork came from. Abandoned fork, hence cost nothing. It's a quality item. The bike was a K2. It's been mangled a little bit, so the brand here I can read. There's a little birdie, chirping birdie, and it's an SP. Oh, Spinner. Spinner, isn't that American? Spinner is the brand of this fork. So it's just a quality fork. It wasn't a K2 bike. Who is not familiar? What happened in the 80s and 90s when the skiing industry realized that they were seasonal, so making skis and selling them in the winter left them idle in the summer, so they decided that a good thing to do would be making mountain bikes. And I think that's exactly the time when this product was manufactured or marketed. So K2 had something built and something bought, and they obviously bought these forks by Spinner. Spinner, this I've seen plenty. Spinner. I think this might have been an OE original equipment by the likes of the early mountain bike builders in the United States. Please educate me if you know more, but as far as I know, this is what happened. Gary Fisher, I think, used Spinner forks, if I'm not mistaken. I will look this up, and please comment if you know. Okay, second thoughts. Look at this. This is so beautiful. I'm not going to polish this. I'm just going to do that. That's just for the thread in case there is any rust in between. And since I'm going to mount this bike within a matter of, let me feel this. Okay, let's go in here. In a matter of 2 weeks. Let's not put this down. I don't want any abrasive dust on the paint. But I still want to go in here for some extra cleaning. It's a little difficult with only 2 hands. We should have 3 hands. 3 hands would be a good thing. That'd be quite sexy, wouldn't it? So that shall be all the cleaning. Now I'm going to stay on this side with the polishing rag. As I said, there will be no polishing done on here. I changed the strategy, but cleaning. Alrighty. Staying with the dirty job. Cleaning these for a little bit. Mind you, the more you sand, the less material you have. So these are sensitive, these are fitting, but a little bit of it doesn't really matter. So that's that. Now time to clean this stuff away, which we don't need. One toothbrush, one polishing compound, one dirty sandpaper, one polishing rag. Next job, I'm going to mount this. Going to mount this with white grease. And this, and this, and this. Okay? Right, job number one. And I know that obviously you do jobs as they come along. You do make things dirty and then putting grease on some places that might transfer. The first thing I'm doing here is putting grease. This is to prevent rust. And the majority of it I'm going to take off again because I don't want the qualities, the non-frictional qualities. I just want the rust prevention qualities here. Grease out of way. Carbon assembly paste. That has nothing to do with what I'm doing here, theoretically. I think we are in agreement. What it has to do with is I want a bit of extra friction in this situation. And that it should give me. And that it shall give me. Or is it wishful thinking? Let me know. Clean away carbon mounted paste. I'll need a little bit of a face for hammering this thing in. Possibly like that, okay. I'm very careful to make sure this goes in parallel. And I'm not hitting any of the surface. That is key to the smooth running. It's going down nicely. You can always hear when the sound changes. One, two, three, four, five. Mounted. Tools out of the way. Clean up what we might have made dirty. There is nothing. Clean up this for now. So, now we will attempt some of the damage on the paint. Yeah. Oh my, that's too delicate. That is too thin, the paint here. I do not want to sand through. Don't know what happened here. Oh, it's paper. Yeah, that's what it is. Paper. Actually, let me just go with the 3000 right away. Yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm too worried that I might take some of the fade off. But I do want a little bit of polishing at the very bottom. For understandable reasons. Because it suffered too much. Okay, so the 3000 will not cut it in this case. What do we have? 1200. 1200. I'm just using the more coarse paper selectively according to the size of the problem. So this is not green what I pick up, so there must be clear coat on the fork. Yes, I obviously have clear coated this. Good. Go back to 3000. That's the final. And I'm staying just at the very bottom because that is more likely to have more clear coat. And you know, here in the fade, I do not want to risk the fade. Maybe that's a bit too. So that's 1500. Yeah, that's fine. I'm doing this dry because there's barely anything that I'm doing. that's me on the final works. Staying with the 3000 now. I know that's not going to give me a smooth finish this way. I'm not trying perfection, I'm just trying again. I talked about this before. There is an absolute sweet spot somewhere. Efficiency versus effort versus result, and sometimes less is just more. This has a little bit to do with your motivation. So if you work too hard and you see no result, you kind of like damage your motivation. We don't want to do that. We want to stay motivated, and that is by being clever of doing the right thing. So that's the sanding. Oops, what happened here? Oh dear, I forgot about this. Do you see that? There's a sealant. Was that mounted the right way? I don't think so. This was probably mounted in the wrong place, in the wrong way. So I turn it around, put it back in. This is funny. Looks good, almost. Obviously this sealing. Let me postpone this issue. Time to put away the sandpaper, and I keep this in order. 3000, 2.5, 2000, 1500, 1200, and 1000. Oh wait. I would say key to a good finish is to work in a very clean environment. So that's what I'm doing. I'm keeping my environment clean. And then, just in case, I'm absolutely wanting to keep this paint fresh. So let's go back to seating the ceiling, and I need a tiny little something. Let me check what you're actually videoing here. I'm going to break this just in case.